Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
Hey guys, this is your co-host Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average pun-making swearwolf that loves to explore the spookier things in life.
Hey everybody, I'm John Thomas, paranormal investigator, super smartass, and film lover extraordinaire.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and all of our hypnotic pals? In today's episode, we'll be discussing hypnosis and past life regressions with our special guest. Today, we have award-winning hypnotherapist and past life regressionist Kylie King.
But first, a word from our network sponsor.
Are you looking for more awesome podcasts? Head on over to withoutyourhead.com for access to the Without Your Head podcast network, where you'll find a variety of podcasts sure to keep you entertained and coming back for more. All right, bring us back, Jonathan.
Welcome back, everybody. Like Ashley said, we have Kylie King with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on here. And I always love having people from other countries here to join us because I know
Yes.
we're crazy. So when other people come on and talk to us, I'm like, oh, I have, kindred spirits in other parts of the world. It makes me feel less, what's the word I'm looking for? Less of a misfit. Finding my tribe across the globe feels lovely. So
Well, I'm very happy to be here. And yeah, I'm from Australia. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak to you guys all the way in America because same thing. When you're here and you're like shining that beacon, it's nice to know that there's other people in other parts of the world doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I love that I put that call out on Facebook, and I for sure thought, here's what I'm looking for. Nobody's going to respond to that. The topics are so different, right? It's not typically you see a lot about we love entrepreneurship or self help, coaches and speakers, but not often do you have a call for like the more what some of our listeners call like the woo woo topics, right? And so when I put that out there, I'm like, maybe I'll get one person, maybe I'll get two to have the different responses that I did with the different specialties, right? It wasn't the same topics. It was really nice, almost a bit refreshing to think, wow, there are others out there who are interested in similar wavelength of topics. And I loved it because I have no idea. Like when we put these topics out, I didn't put it out there because it's like, I know everything about this. I know nothing about hypnosis or past life regression. So this is very exciting. So that was a long-winded way to say welcome.
I was really happy to see your post too because I haven't put myself out there to go on podcasts and stuff because generally when I say, I do hypnotherapy, but I specialize in past life regression, people are like, oh, you do that? Yeah, okay. We'll just stand over here. Just because they don't understand it, really, is what it comes from. So as soon as I saw your post, I'm like, she's probably not going to pick me because I'm in Australia, but I'm just going to chuck it out there. And hey, if she feels aligned with what she sees, she may have me on. And here I am. So thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
both.
Thank you for working with us on the scheduling. I know it can be tricky with the different time zones and
Oh,
different
yeah.
dates. And so thank you for bearing with me when we were trying to figure out the time difference and so forth. I swear I have like three different web pages up, like, okay, the date and the world clock and what area are they in, and trying to just align it up. And I appreciate your patience with me while I figured that out.
I know we talked about it too. It's like, wait, if we're here, they're there. It was just a big old, yeah.
And then it's like, is that your time or my time?
Yeah. And then we threw like a random daylight savings in just to make it difficult for you. Yeah, I noticed. And I was like, but you did awesome. So we're both here. I wasn't late. I wasn't an hour late for daylight savings. So we're all good.
Yay. I know. It's always a fun time. Um trying to coordinate that, but I appreciate your patience with that. So, with that said, how long have you been practicing hypnosis and helping people with hypnotherapy?
So it'll probably be about 3 years now. So I'm quite, I guess, new to the art. but I did come from, so my previous life, I was in corporate. So I ran like multi-million dollar businesses. I trained staff. I have a master's in business. That's what I did. And then I went through sort of like I guess, a spiritual awakening, where we all end up on the bathroom floor in tears, crying, going, "What the F is my life?" I had one of those after the birth of my second child. And I just went, you know what? I quit that job and I just followed my intuition, and it's led me to hypnotherapy. And now it's led me even to niche down into past life regression. So yeah, just about 3 years, but I have to say I've done over 100 sessions, and each time I do one, they are just insane, to be honest with you. They're very different. My whole belief system has changed since before that bathroom floor incident. I've met amazing past lives, and I just love the stories. I love hearing people's stories in general, but then to also then be able to hear the stories of their past life. It's amazing. So I'm loving what I'm doing. So I love talking about it. So thank you for this platform, because it is hard to find a podcast that goes, "Okay, Kylie, go woo woo, go crazy, go past lifey." And I'm like, yes, I'm all for it.
We want all of that. Please go woo woo, past life, and all of it. So, the corporate America with the business background, at this moment in time, it really is very different than the spiritual woo woo world. What I know you said, like, laid on the bathroom floor with the spiritual awakening. I've been there. I feel like I'm there every Friday, but I'm just kidding. But um, what aspect of, like, how do you go from business to I need to find something bigger? How did that journey look like to say, okay, I need to find bigger? I'm at a hypnosis.
So for me, it was I had my first baby, and then I'm not sure. I can only speak, so this is Australian, but here when I was working I was working like 80 hours a week. Like I would go to work, my kids would be asleep, I'd come back, my kids would be asleep. And I was like, there's got to be more than, work, sleep, repeat. There has to be more. Like, why would I have signed up for this stuff? Like there has to be more. And when I started to go, okay, I've done this for so long in a business. Are you ready to go part-time with me? Is there anything we can do to work this out? And, so I can actually spend time with the tiny humans I created. They were like, no, if you're serious about your job, you will continue to do 80-hour weeks. And it just didn't fit. So that's when I sort of went, okay, well, that's not where I want to be. And then when I quit that, I then felt like I lost a massive part of my identity, because I'd been doing it for so long and it had become such a path in my life. Like 80 hours a week is a massive amount. Like that's almost more than half of what we get. So I was like, and that's when I was like, I need to now get back and reform that identity, because I'm not just a mum, love my kids to bits, but there's more to me. And that's when I started doing that whole inner journey into, okay, so I'm here, what's happening? And it was really the universe that started, let's get a bit woo-woo. It was the universe that just started sending me things. I started getting hypnosis courses showing up on Facebook. I started getting all these little bits coming in, or friends were now studying, meditation or all of this. And I just followed that path. And it took me right up to learning about Dolores Cannon, and then learning from her more about past life regression. So, yeah.
I love hearing about that, because I firmly believe when you choose to make a shift that is towards your inner truth, that suddenly all of the serendipities occur. And so, like, you chose, like you said, I'm not doing that anymore. I deserve something bigger. There is something in me that is needing to be discovered. Who am I inside? What is my truth? And the second you decided that, you started paying attention, right, to your intuition and all the serendipities that were going on, like noticing, right? Because I'm sure there's lots of stuff that pop up on our feeds that talk about so many different topics, but the fact that you keyed into the hypnosis, like that was what you gravitated to immediately, like that's phenomenal because it spoke to you. So that's really neat. Was it hard? Like, I know it was only 3 years ago, but, like, was it hard to find information on hypnosis and, like, guiding hypnosis? Is that pretty difficult?
For me, it started with me actually just starting a community that I have locally, about small business. So I decided to go off. Then I was like, what am I going to do with all this? I need to make income, mortgage to pay, kids to feed. So I started my own business at the time as a business coach, because I had all of that experience and all of that stuff. And when my network started, I started a network, said, hey, anyone doing business in the area? Let's connect. Let's, do that sort of stuff. And the people that were coming were sharing their different bits. So a lady said, have you looked at doing NLP, hypno, and timeline? And I was like, no, but that sounds really cool. So in the network I created, it's like the shining beacon. They sort of came in, and then I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to learn that. And then it's just gone from there.
What I find really fascinating is we recently kind of got introduced to the idea of NLP. So for me, that's like also a serendipity, like, oh, there it goes again. Pay attention to these words. Like, it's really exciting. So when you go through learning about NLP and hypnosis and that journey of guiding others, do you have to go through it? Like, do you go through it yourself to understand it better as well? Is that something you participated in, or was it purely I'm guiding others?
So with us here, we have a course you can do where you go and you learn about NLP, timeline, and hypno. And during that time, you are actually practice on, and you practice on others, so that you are having those moments happen. You're then also there seeing it firsthand and how it works. So not only for yourself but for others. And then when you finish the course, they say like you're an NLP practitioner over here. So that's where I started. And then they go, okay, you can now go on your own. And when I started doing it, I was like, oh, NLP is cool, but it's not what I'm liking to do. I really liked the hypnotherapy. And I think what I liked about it is our mind is so truly powerful, and yet we don't give it the credit it deserves. We like shut down, or we don't listen to it, especially our depending unconscious or subconscious, whichever reference you want to use for that one. But we don't use it to its full capability. It's like 3,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind, but we don't listen to it. So when I started looking at that, I was like, okay, hypnotherapy is where I want to go. And then I did hypnotherapy for a while, and I did like anxiety, I did weight loss, I did smokers, and I wasn't loving it. I wasn't a fan. Like, don't get me wrong, reformed smoker here, but smokers are hard because they need to be at that threshold to make a change. And that's with any hypnosis. If you're not at the threshold to make a change and you haven't made the decision to make a change, you're just going to override it, because hypnotherapy is a do with process. I can't just go, boom, I'm putting you into a trance now, John, you're in a trance. It's not like that, unfortunately. You have to be like, okay, cool, it's a do with process. I'm ready to go in a trance. Let's do this. And then having smokers, and then I wasn't interested in that. And then a client of mine said, Kylie, have you ever done this? And she sent me Dolores Cannon's recording. So are you guys familiar with Dolores Cannon?
No.
No? Oh, okay. So I believe she's from Colorado. I
Oh,
think. I have
really?
to double check. She has since passed on, but she spent over 40 years delving into past life regression. She's published 18 books, 19 books now, because she's published one, I believe, since passing. But her whole thing was just past life regression. And she covered past lives. She also covered alien abductions. She's right up your alley, guys.
Yeah, I need to look her up. I'm like, I'm going to Google her and bookmark her name so that I remember to go back
Yes.
and visit her information.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And then I watched her, and I was like, this is my jam. I need to find her. I need to whatever she pretty much what you said. I bookmarked her. I searched her on YouTube. I Googled her. I checked everything out. I bought her books, and then I saw she was offering a course on how to do past life regression, or what she calls quantum healing hypnosis technique. And I went, okay, let's do this. And I studied that, and I've been working QHHT and normal past life regression since, and I love it. The past lives I meet is just extraordinary.
Do you find more people are receptive to hypnosis as time progresses? Is this something we're seeing a shift, or do you find most people are still pretty like apprehensive about it?
Stage shows and certain Netflix documentaries don't help, because everyone thinks it's mind control. I get a lot of new people now coming to it, but I find a lot of the things I put on my socials and on my website is education, because people still think you're just going to turn me into a chicken. You're just going to make me, dance naked on a stage. And it's not like that at all. There's so much work that goes into that happening, and you can't be made to do anything. unless your unconscious mind allows you to do it, because its prime directive is to keep you and your body safe. So if I ask, and not that I ever would, but if I asked like Ashley you to do something and your unconscious mind didn't agree with it, it would tell me to fuck off. No, Kylie, it's not happening.
No.
So at the moment, it is more wide, like more people know about it. But when you have like certain things that come out, there's still that mind control component. And it's not like that at all. It's a do with process. I can't do anything against your will, and it's not going to happen.
I feel like hypnosis is mind control, but it's not mind control the way people view it. I feel like it's individual mind control because the individual is the one controlling it, right? Like they're controlling whether they are going to be receptive to the suggestions or the work being done, right? So it's like it's not the hypnotherapist controlling the mind, it's the individual controlling their mind and whether they're going to be receptive or consent to it.
Exactly. Like it's there's that quote, all healing is self-healing. You can't do anything or heal if you're not open to it happening. And as I said before, like your unconscious mind doesn't want to play, it just won't allow it to happen. If it doesn't want to do past life regression, it'll maybe want to heal through another modality. But it's really giving it that opportunity to speak, because we often don't. We worry about the conscious stuff and what's happening at the moment. We don't actually speak to our unconscious mind and go, hey, guy, how's it going? But it's constantly in the background learning. It's constantly doing things. So when we want to start talking to it, and let's be honest, people don't want to deal with their shit. Sorry, they don't want to deal with their shit. It's too hard. It's too hard. We want easy stuff. Like if there was a hypno pill, everyone would sign up to it. If they were just like, I want a hypno pill, let's do this. Everything will be fixed. But it does take work, and it all starts with you if you're not ready. And this is why I moved away from smokers, because if that smoker is coming to you and it's because their wife told them to, or their husband told them to, or they were told, they can't afford it anymore. I don't know what cigarettes are like for you, but over here they're like $50 a packet. Like they're ridiculously expensive. So
Whoa.
whatever that is, they're not coming for themselves. They're coming for every other reason. So they can do the hypnosis and they can be like, yes, I did that and it was amazing. But then a week later, they're smoking a pack of 50 because it wasn't their choice. It was the choice from outside influences.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
We are more powerful than we give ourselves to believe. We're told by other things we're not, but we're truly powerful, because at the end of the day, I can't control John or Ashley's body. They can control their mind and body. It's just who you give access to, I guess, is the best way to put it. And with a hypnotherapist, you want to have a lot of trust and rapport there before you give that access. Does that make sense? Sorry.
No, that totally makes, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you absolutely make sense.
Yeah.
I tend to respond quite quickly, so I was trying to make sure John didn't have anything to say before I just completely jumped in.
Yeah, basically what I was saying was with the smokers, and I know back in the 90s and 80s, a lot of them tried the hypnotherapy to quit smoking. And it makes a lot of sense as to why they didn't actually quit, because they weren't doing it for themselves. They were doing it for everybody else, and their brain told them, no, we're not doing it.
I feel like I'm afraid of hypnosis. Not because I don't believe it's real or I don't necessarily trust hypnotherapists. I think for me, and maybe a lot of people, the biggest fear is who we truly are inside. Admitting truths about ourselves that we kind of push down further and further and that we don't want to admit. So when it's we're going to work through that shit and we're going to work through that stuff and address it head on, it's oh, what am I going to find out about myself that I maybe don't want to know? It's like putting your head in the sand because it's scary. Because I think some people know at their base nature, they know there's some stuff inside that maybe they don't like, but they don't want to address fully. And so that can be a little scary.
Well, there's two things I would say to that. So one, your unconscious mind, as I said before, its prime directive is to keep you safe. So it's not going to show you anything you're not ready for. So if we were to do a past life and say you had quite a traumatic past life, it's not going to show me that because it may not think that you're ready for it. So that's something really, we need to have more trust in ourselves and what our unconscious mind would bring. And the second thing is, if there is something that is sitting that's negative where you don't want to do it, if you don't deal with it, it's what will go on to cause dis-ease in your body. So emotions and energy and all of that stuff, if it's sitting there and it's not of the best light, it can cause dis-ease. And you don't want to have that. That's not something we want in our body. And I think it just comes back to embracing your journey, I think is really important. And when you're ready to work on things, they generally come to our awareness. So, awareness, once you become aware of a problem that you have, whether you choose to use hypno or not, once you become aware of a problem, you're already 70% there of dealing with it because you've become aware of it and you know what makes you tick. And then it's just embracing that to go, well, I wouldn't be here on this podcast today if I didn't go through that bathroom floor incident, or I didn't go through whatever it was. I wouldn't be here then hoping to share my knowledge with Americans, like over there. Like I would just be stuck in Australia talking to people around me. So I think it's really important that if it's ready to be dealt with, it will come into your awareness.
So when it comes to past lives and hypnosis, where do the past lives information sit? Because I guess we've talked to people that talk about past lives and how it's your energy and it's, connected to your soul space and those kind of things, and that they seem very like abstract. But when we talk about hypnosis, it's like we're talking about the unconscious or the subconscious, right? Which is very much attached, in my understanding, to the body that we have now in this specific iteration of the journey. So when we tap into past lives, where are we going? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So, and I just want to say everything I've mentioned in this podcast is my own belief before
Right.
anyone gets like rammed up. So with hypnosis, as I mentioned before, I offer 2 types of sessions. So there's like an intro and then there's the big one. I'm just speaking to your unconscious mind. So your unconscious mind, or your soul, I guess, as most people would call it, or your spirit, your soul comes into your body and it's like a fragment of what it is, because our souls are so big. They can't fit. I've been told in a past life regression session, we can't fit all the energy into the body because the body will explode, right? So we send a shard, we send a small spark into your body. So that is your unconscious mind, which is a part of that soul, but it brings everything, all its old soul stories with it. So when I'm accessing your past life, I'm speaking to your unconscious mind, and that's the mind giving me the responses.
So it stores all of the past life stories because it's attached to the main
Yeah.
the brain soul.
It's attached to the big one. So
Okay.
there's a diagram. I learnt this through Dolores's work. So there's a diagram she shows you, but our soul is like massive and they can only put a little bit in. So they put in a little bit. It makes it hard to say it audio. Like I probably sound like a crazy person, but it's
No. It
so,
makes sense.
because we are so big. And this goes on to when you go further down the past life rabbit hole. I'm not sure how far you've gone, but when they talk about split souls,
Nope.
it means gives you the okay, sorry, but this gives you the opportunity of your massive soul then to go into 2 lives at the exact same time on Earth.
Oh. Wait, what?
Split soul. Yeah.
Like, so
I just like that there's a, wait, what?
no, my brain is wrapping around it. So
I did the same thing. You were just more verbal.
because I said originally because I was thinking 2 like dimensions, but she said
Right.
on Earth, so then I'm like, oh wait, we mean like on the same Earth, same dimension. Okay, that's why I had the wait what, because I shifted. So so we could have sections of our soul existing on the same Earth. Could that be then what soulmates are, or is that something different?
Soulmates, I can't give you a proper response. I'm still exploring this. From what I understand, no, they're just in your soul family and you're very close to them. They're not a part of you. I know that some people do believe that it does come from it, but in any of the split souls that I've encountered, it is their own soul, but they're living 2 lives, whether on Earth or on different planets at the same time.
You've encountered split souls.
Yes.
How do you come across that?
So it's just through the past life session. So as we're exploring, we can ask questions of the unconscious mind directly or of the higher self. There is in Dolores's work that I've studied, you can actually call the higher self in and ask it direct questions. It's a part of QHHT. And they will tell me if the question comes up, are you a split soul or is there anything you want to share? One lady I did work, she's living here in Australia doing her own thing, and she's a split soul as a crystal on an alien planet. And that's what her unconscious mind told me. So I accept and respect that. That's what she's given me. And yeah. And here she loves crystals. Like when you walk into her house, she's one of those ladies that have crystals everywhere, like massive amounts. And yeah, she's like, I'm a crystal baby. And then it came out in her past life session that she's over there. But it's not common that the soul will split in my experience. It's generally if a soul wants to do lots more learning. They'll split and go, okay, I'm going to do lots of lessons, like, take on 2 degrees at the same time, is the easiest way to put it. Most souls are just happy to go, I'll do my one lot of degree, and then I'll go back and deal with it up there.
Back into the now, when you are working directly with the main, what did you call it, the higher self,
Yeah.
does that leave any kind of impression or do anything to the individual themselves by calling that bigger versus like the sliver, calling the bigger one through? Is that like that okay to do to the person? Or I don't want to put a judgment call, but like, is that pretty hard because they usually only carry a sliver of it, or is it manageable?
So it's manageable. It's not calling the whole thing in. I want to make that a point. I'm not there to explode people, but it's just really for your for your higher self or for your unconscious mind to really come and just answer questions directly. I don't want to hear your remembrance of what generally like a past life is the remembering. I want to hear what your soul wants to say directly. And it's generally the part where you can ask questions that you want an answer to that you're then hearing from yourself. So it's not going through a filter. So like psychics and mediums are great. Don't get me wrong. Love them. Know a lot of them. But when they tell you something, it generally comes through their filter. So what a tree is for them is different. What a tree is for me, what a tree is for you, what a tree is for John. Like we all have different things for a tree. So when we call the higher self in, it's just another bit of them that comes in and we ask them directly. So if the person wants to know, are they fulfilling their life's purpose? Should they stay in a relationship? Is their job the right path? Have they done past lives with their kids? It's just anything that, why do I suck with money? How come I can't lose weight? If it's something they want to hear directly from like the horse's mouth, it's the best way to do it because then they're not hearing other bits and pieces. So I've had a lady recently who came in and she goes, I've done 4 past lives and a psychic told me this, 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 and this. But then when we put her under hypnosis and we asked her higher self directly, she was told that 2 of them were correct and 2 of them they had no idea about. It just depends.
No, that makes sense. It does, because I've stumbled into the world of like scrolling through live psychic feeds, and the wonderful thing that I find is that oftentimes what they are saying is just good life advice. Like it's really great things that I think sometimes people need to hear that they don't necessarily receive well from other avenues. So it's great, and I think it's fantastic. And you hear about like the different channelings and stuff and messages that you're getting, but to your point, they're interpreting those messages. So it's like spirit is sending this, so I believe it means this, or it interprets to that. And so it's neat to have a different perspective where I'm just going to go directly to you. I'm going to go directly to your higher self that says, here's exactly what it is. Not leaving room for me to interpret it into what I think spirit's saying. It's just, here's what your higher self is saying. So I like that. I like that a lot.
And that's it. So I guess the best way to put it is I'm just like a reporter. So I can only work on what they share. So, and then I ask questions to gather the story of the past life, or in this case, I ask the questions that they want to know. But it's coming direct from them, and their unconscious mind or higher self will will say directly how it will find it best to lose weight, or what is the correct purpose, or what is it ignoring that its soul loves to do more. Because we may think go on a diet and just eat broccoli for a week is the best way to lose weight. And the higher self will be like, no, she needs to drink water. Like that's it. Or whatever go on a juice cleanse or whatever it wants you to do. It will tell you directly how it will help you individually. And I think that's an important thing to remember, is that we are all individuals. We're all different. We're all here learning a different lesson. And it's to embrace that and know what works for us. There's no one size fits all approach. And that's why I love past life, because it's okay, what's going to work for you and what you want to heal. There's no, for everyone. I think it's really important to remember.
It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all. It's like, this is for you and what's going to help you continue to move forward and grow. And even if you don't want to grow, a lot of the clients I'm getting at the moment, they're just interested. They want to know. They just want to, do I have a past life? What was I doing? What am I rocking? And we just follow you. We don't generally always go into a past life. Recently, I went into a future life. Before I went into the same life. It's just wherever your unconscious mind wants to go, it's giving them an opportunity to speak, to go, here's your soapbox, talk to me for an hour. Let's go. What do you want to talk about?
How does a future life work?
It's just the same process. It's just wherever the unconscious mind wants to take us. So it'll just enter a different part. So for this lady was looking at Earth from space. She was a light being looking at Earth, and she told me she was in the future, about 100,000 years. So yeah.
So I'm of the belief system that I think whether it's going to be a past life or present life or split life or future life, it's all presenting itself for a specific reason because it's what's needed at that moment in time. So when someone's future life presents itself, what do you think that does maybe to help the individual?
Well, I just generally ask them directly why they're here. Like I'm very black and white. I don't like to
That's
do the gray
very
stuff.
direct.
I think they realize working with me, I'm not very gray. Like, I'm like, what are you doing here? And they'll generally tell you like what their lesson was or what the purpose or what advice they want to give to the current life. So in her situation was and I'm allowed to share this, just if you're like, oh, she spills client beans, I've checked, I'm good. But she pretty much just needed to know that she was on the right path and that she needs to just keep moving forward because the future is bright. And that's why it came. And then it just wanted to share some bits about future Earth, really, and just speak. So yeah, it's all about getting that story. So we generally explore 4 to 5 significant life events, and then we'll go through generally the death scene, because it's easier to speak to the soul rather than the whole, kill and resurrect thing. I'm not a necromancer, but and then we'll just ask directly questions. And then if that's when they want to end the session out, we'll end the session. And if they want to call in their higher self to ask direct questions, then that's what would happen next.
What's a death scene?
So I'd ask them when was their last time of life and how they died. And then I would ask them, we don't go through it if it's traumatic, I'm not, but I'll say, go to your last day in your life. And then once you have taken your final breath, tell me where you are in respect to your body. And then I'll ask them questions directly to the soul. So then I'm asking them, what did they think of that past life? Why did you come? Why are you sharing? You could have shared any past life. Why this one? And it will generally tell me.
Interesting. Now, with some of the things that you have experienced in terms of past lives or any past, present, future, do you find any of the things that come up difficult to interact with, whether it be kind of traumatizing for yourself or sad or heartbreaking, or have you learned to kind of compartmentalize that out?
I feel every time I do a session, it really changes my belief system because my belief system is evolving over time. And I told you before, I started over here in corporate Australia, whatever, so it's very grown a lot. The first one that came to mind was we started in a past life where there was a ritual sacrifice happening, and it was the lady's baby being sacrificed in front of her. And for me as a mum, straight away, I was like, I can't. What? I didn't know how to formulate questions. How do you ask? Because you ask them to share the scene and where they're going. And for me, that was super confronting because, yeah, as a mom, and then I'm like, there's a baby and people, and she couldn't do anything in that process. So that was particularly traumatizing for me. And I was like, okay, but we moved through it. The client was okay. We got the answer we needed to that past life. But what that for me straight up was like, okay, I just don't do hurting children. Do you know what I mean? And anything like that, I'm just was not expecting it. The other one was we went to go into a past life, and I was actually being spoken to directly he told me he was Osiris, the god of Egypt, the god of
Okay.
life and death. But it wasn't a past life exploration. He had channeled in to talk to me directly. So, and he was talking about simultaneous time. Have you heard about simultaneous time?
No, what is that?
Okay, so this one was a bit like, for me, this rocked my belief system. So that he was there to tell me that simultaneous time is, there is no, we think of time on a line, like we move from past, we go into present, we go into future. So if we're adding on any past lives, they should run like chronologically. So, for example, if I died today, knock on wood, then maybe I'll come back in 2050 as a new life. That's how we tend to think of timeline
Yeah.
and past lives. And what he came to tell me was that we're simultaneous. So all timelines are running at the same time. So he was sitting in a temple in Egypt 60,000 years ago, but it was like he was talking to me on the telephone. That was, that session blew me, because I was like, what? Simultaneous time?
That
What?
rocked your world.
I was already like, Osiris, Egyptian god, thank you. Like, who's up there liking my work that he came through? But then second, when he's talking about simultaneous time and water, very much on the importance of water, and how they're used for portals to new dimensions. So that whole session just rocked me. Like, I had to listen back to the recording to go, did I smoke something beforehand? Or like, was I drinking? Because what's going on? But no, he came in to deliver his message, and that threw me, because I've had people come through to deliver messages before, but this one, no past life, just straight away, I'm Osiris. This is what I'm here to say. Done. I was like, thanks, Osiris. Now I've got to figure out simultaneous time.
You'll come back again.
And you know what? I did, and he did come back again in a recent session I did. At the end of the session, I was like, okay, I'm ready to close out. And he came back to say hi.
So you've got a connection. You've got like a pen pal.
I don't know. I guess it is a pen pal, because simultaneous time, right? So he's probably listening to us right now. But I'm interested to see if I can be more prepared next time. I would love to ask him, like, the pyramids and the Sphinx, and
Yeah.
these are so many unanswered questions we don't have, or I feel like archaeology and science are looking into it. But if, Osiris is willing to come to the forefront and he's happy to chat,
Why
I'm
not?
happy to have that conversation.
Well, you make an interesting point that, it's indicating that they're existing in the now to them, right? Meditating somewhere. So it begs the question, when people are meditating, or they say they're contacting higher beings, or they're contacting extraterrestrial life form, maybe they're just really connecting to somebody else on a different timeline, so to speak, that is in a temple somewhere, right? Like
Just on
minding
the
their own
phone.
business. Yeah, meditating themselves. They just hopped on the phone and the connection connected. And we think it's like an alien, but it's like, no, this is the guy that's in the year 3240 and just picked up the phone.
Back to Dolores, it made me actually look at her books, because she had a similar situation happen with Nostradamus, and she
Okay.
actually published 3 books about it, where she went through his quatrains, and he then, during past life hypnosis, actually shared what each of them meant. So yeah, it's happened before, because I had to look at it. Once I found simultaneous time, I Googled that so hard. I was like, where is it? Like, who knows about it? So yeah, there you go. Meditation. Everyone gets told to meditate, and a lot of people don't because it's so busy. But do it. You don't know who you're ringing up on the phone.
Except there's people being used as the phone.
It makes me think of, like, did you ever do when you were kids, like the can with the string?
Yes, yes,
It's like,
yes.
my
Yep.
meditation is like, because I can never hear anything. So like, can you hear me?
Hello, is somebody in there? But the water is the string apparently. So
There you go. But yeah, apparently water is very important. We need to be looking after our water and our oceans more.
we're not doing so great on this earth about that.
Maybe that's why he came through. He's like, Kylie, get it out there. Water. Stop doing
He's,
silly stuff with water. So there you go. I've
he's,
passed it on to
he's
you.
like,
You
I'm
guys
trying to get into all these different hypnosis sessions. You guys got to stop with the water. Come on. Oh man, that's
exactly.
funny.
I know those were the 2 that, yeah, when you said it, they're the first that popped up, because that Osiris one changed my belief system again. And then, yeah, just, I don't like people hurting kids. So I was like, straight away, I was like, oh.
That's got to be pretty hard. Do you, for people that do, like any of your clients that have something pretty intense like that, do you have safeguards in place where you can pull them out if you need to?
Yep. So there are safeguards in place so I can disassociate them and I can pull them out. If it's something they don't want to see, I've had it before, even if it wasn't traumatic, where because you can leave trance at any time. So they've pulled themselves out. Or in one case, I've had their spirit guides push them out because
Oh.
they didn't want them to see it. But we tend not to see, it's that back to that whole unconscious mind protects you. So generally, it's not going to show you anything that's going to be too traumatic. But there's heaps of safeguards in place because I don't want to upset people or cause more trauma because, one, my reputation, and two, I want them to come back. So I'm not going to do anyone to break anything. But I do find the most interesting part of past life is when you talk to someone and they fully embody the past life. So what I mean by that is, like, I'll be talking to someone with a really thick Australian accent and they'll start talking to me as like an Irishman or a German baker. I've had German bakers give me recipes for the best brandy cake. So when they and you get that accent, I'm like, this is going to be a great session.
That's awesome. This is gonna be great.
And they never believe you until they listen back to the recording and then they ring you and go, what was that? That was you. That was
That
your
was
past
you.
life coming through, delivering its words of wisdom.
So, how does the quantum part of the QHHT work? You said QHHT, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the quantum is, so as I mentioned before, it's like you go through the past life and then we bring in the higher self or the subconscious to speak. What we can also do during that is ask it if there's any healing that the body needs. So depending on your belief system, of course, your body is sending you messages. So generally, if you have an illness or something happens, it's your body trying to send you a message that something's not aligned or something's, maybe a bit out of whack with what's going on. Now, what will happen is just when your unconscious mind comes in or your higher self, I'll just say, hey, can you do a body scan and check that everything is rocking in Ashley's body, everything's aligned, there's nothing causing her any issues. So they will generally do a scan and they'll let me know if there's anything in there. If there's a potential physical ailment you have or like a thing that you have concerns about, I can ask them directly about it. And generally, they can tell me what caused it to happen or when it first appeared. So, as an example, I had a beautiful lady come to me. She had diabetes. She wanted to know how it happened because she's always led a relatively healthy life. And her unconscious mind just came back and said, it's when your dad died because you lost the sweetness in life and it was trying to tell you to get more sweetness. You didn't listen, so diabetes formed. So I just want to say, this is beliefs. So I just want to caption this at the bottom. This is your belief system. Everything I've said is in my belief system. But yeah, and then once she was able to start looking for the sweetness in her life, she was able to better manage her diabetes. So sorry.
No. I love this. Please don't apologize. I think this is a great conversation about this. And to your point, there's so much here that can challenge belief systems, but I think that our world is evolving so quickly into a world that accepts more spiritual and metaphysical that it's becoming more and more, I guess, easier to listen to and not quickly write it off. So please don't be apologetic. I think it's great to challenge people's belief systems in a way that isn't disrespectful. It's just because people, I don't think, realize it's not one or the other. You can still hold on to everything you believed and realize that there's more. We don't know everything out there.
And I think it's so important to realize that we are all connected. Like, I feel like we always put the mind or the body first, but it's all connected. And it's why it's all in one vessel. And that comes with, the soul as well. We're all connected. And that's the whole bit of this inner journey, is just trying to get that all back into alignment. Because then once you have that all in alignment, the power will come. We are so much more powerful. And I get told that in every past life session I do. We are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for.
I agree.
Are you still with us, John? Have I blown your mind yet? Or
John's just very quiet.
I'm quiet, yeah. I mean, there are times but then I just blabber on. So, but yeah, no, definitely blowing my mind for sure. Yeah.
Now, the age of digital media has really opened up access and interacting with people that we couldn't in the past. And so with hypnotherapy, is it possible to do these sessions through digital, like social, like on video chat or through camera screens, basically? Or is it something where it's like, you still need to be together in person?
So, in regards to quantum healing that was developed by Dolores, she's asked for that to be face to face. So we respect her as the original creator. That's what she wants. Normal past life sessions that I do a lot of them online. So I've had a variety of international clients from like Portugal and Kuwait and a lot of other different places and all around Australia here. So you can do them online and still get really good results and the answers you seek. But in regards to quantum healing, because the creators asked for that, I respect that. I don't want her to come back through a past life session and have a go at me. So I'm just going to respect
I would go at you.
She might rock in after Osiris and be like, yo, what you doing? So,
Yes, and then you're in big trouble.
and I don't want to be upsetting anyone before I, have to go over there and deal with it. So,
Well, and there's likely a method to the madness, right? So if that was something where it's a preference to be in person to do that, there's likely a very good reason for that.
well, technology as well. And sometimes during these sessions, you can have big energy spikes. So I've had it where like my recorders have died or something like that because you're dealing with different energy. And also, if something does happen, I have had occasion where people are still in trance, but they've jumped up to use the bathroom and come back, or they've jumped up to wash their hands or take a drink. And go back into trance. So I guess it's just best to be there safe and make sure that everyone else is safe. Because once you go off camera, I can't find you. I can't move the camera. So
Yeah, I guess that's a good point that if the computer goes out or something, someone's left kind of like in a trance-like state.
yeah, and then they're like, "Wait, have I heard Kylie? Do I come out of trance? I don't know. Like, where is she?" So,
It's gonna be a confusing space to be in. Is there like a built-in failsafe that can kind of help with that? Like, if you haven't heard me by this time, wake up or come out of it in this amount. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how that would go. I am so not a hypnotherapist.
there is a safeguard in there. So any sessions that I run online, they've all got safeguards in them, and it's just important to know that at any time, if you want to come out of trance, you have that ability. And I also wanted to mention too is we enter trance multiple times during the day. So have you ever like driven home from work and have no idea how you got there?
Yeah.
And like, how did I get home?
Yeah, so many times.
You're in trance. It's because your body's just taking a rest. Like when you're watching, say, something on TV, and then all of a sudden the ads come on and they're extremely loud. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's something I want to tell you. So when you're in the program, right? So you're watching the program and then the ads come on and they're super loud. So when you come out of a hypnotic trance, you're in a stage, and I always get this word stuffed up. So if anyone's watching, I apologize. I think it's called the trance state, but you're in a state that's highly suggestible, right? So when you come out of trance, I could say, hey, buy all my stuff. You really need to eat this Macca's. You really need to buy this thing. And then the sound drops back down as you go back into the program. And then the next ad break, it's back up again. So it's why a lot of people remember like ads from when they were kids, because you're highly suggestible. You've just come out of a hypnotic trance during that TV show, and then they've slammed you with marketing to go, buy this, buy this. So if you didn't want McDonald's before and you want it now, and if they're not a sponsor of this program, they should be. There you go.
So it just like jolts you with that suggestion and
yeah.
then lulls you back
It jolts
in.
you out of, jolts you out. You're out of hypnotic trance. And this is why sometimes during a program, you may notice things and your partner notices other things, or you go back and you rewatch it and you're like, I didn't see that lady there before. It's because you're in trance. The television is the biggest trance-inducing thing we own, that we have. It's the biggest thing. So yeah. And one of the recent research reports I read is they can get you into trance in 7 seconds.
Whoa.
So you're in trance, and then the ad comes on, boom, buy my stuff, and then okay, go back into trance because you're very highly suggestible in that last thing.
Interesting. I was actually watching a movie earlier and it was like I guess it was like a few minutes into the movie and I noticed behind him there was like a really bright ad, but the entire scene itself was very dark, right? And then when he turned around or the camera switched angles and it's showing him from the other side, behind there is similar ad for that same product. but somewhere else. And what are the odds? You're going to have a product ad on one end and then turn around and boom, product ad. And there's a lot of action going on and a lot of moodiness. You almost don't see it.
And I think this is why it's so interesting that now, I don't know about where you guys are, but Netflix and YouTube have ads now. I was like, you crafty little people. Like,
Crafty
we didn't have ads before. I could just remain in trance until the end of that, first season of stuff. But now you want to put ads in so it's back in that suggestibility and for marketers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is beyond quantum healing?
So Beyond Quantum Healing is like Dolores's quantum healing hypnosis technique, but one of her students adapted it so it could be done online. So I am qualified in doing that, so you can do what happens there, but she's put in a lot of safeguards so it can be done online. So if you still wanted that whole bringing your higher self in, having a chat on, you were away or like online, then you can still do it. But we do it as respect to Dolores, it would be called Beyond Quantum Healing.
With the timeline therapy, is that used in conjunction with like quantum healing or past life regression, or is that something completely different?
It's something completely different. So with Timeline, it was created by a guy called Tad James here, who was very good in NLP. And it actually came when you studied NLP. And pretty much what that is you don't go into a trance like hypno, you just close your eyes pretty much. And we just open your timeline up and we explore your timeline. So it's a very good practice if you have like unwarranted or inappropriate emotions or self-limiting beliefs that you really want to get rid of, but maybe you're not ready to go into hypnosis. Timeline therapy is a really good way to do it because we can go back and we see, did it occur in your childhood? Maybe is it genealogically, so it's passed down from your parents or grandparents, or did it happen in a past life? And your unconscious mind will tell us. The best way, have you guys ever watched that movie Inside Out? It's a Pixar film, it's a kids film.
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Yes.
Oh
So
yeah.
you know how it's all about emotions and then like how Joy is having like this awesome time and then sadness comes and puts her stuff on it. So what Timeline does is to see where that, say, anger started and then if it serves its purpose. And was it anger? Or was it maybe Joy had accidentally touched the ball or sadness had touched the ball? So we don't know what emotions are when we're kids. We don't know, like we come into the world and we're like, hey, this is cool. So say you're playing with your sister and she takes a toy and you might have felt something, you're like, oh, that's a bit weird. What am I feeling? And then she does it again and your mum comes in and goes, why are you so angry? Well, you might not have been angry. You might have been frustrated. You might have been happy. You might have been sad, whatever that was from her taking the toy. But because your mum has told you it's anger, you've then gone, okay, this is anger. So then any other thing that feels like that, you've popped it in the anger box. So what Timeline does is goes back and goes, well, is it anger? Let's refiddle it and see where it fits. So it's really good to get, as I mentioned before, that energy and emotion that sits in your body. You don't want unnecessary anger or inappropriate sadness or all those negative low vibe emotions in your body. So this clears them out.
That's really cool. There's so many different like modalities there of healing. It's neat that they all kind of seem to go hand in hand.
And that's what I'm finding with my clients when they first come in, because we've discussed hypnotherapy has that sort of like bad connotation. I always recommend they lead in with a timeline because then they're awake for it, or with their eyes closed. I guess it's a light trance. They can see how that feels. And then if that feels good and they're comfortable, then they can move forward into more hypnotherapy type things or past life.
And it seems like a lot of this is like, it's not a one and done. This is something where you would kind of want to work on pieces at a time, right?
Yeah, well, we're like an onion. So once you start opening, or once you start knocking on that unconscious mind's door, it's going to be a free for all. It's going to share what it wants to share with you, when it feels is the right time. So with Timeline, because you're getting rid of such big emotions, I would never do it in one session because the upheaval to your body, and purging. Have you guys ever gone through a purge? It's not pretty. So no one wants to be purging that hard. We don't want, what is it? The movie Exorcist. We don't want Exorcist level purging. We just want nice purging. But yeah, so Timeline I would do over a couple of sessions just to make sure all those emotions are out and just be really gentle in it. But yeah, it depends. As I said, all healing is self-healing. So however you're ready or you feel you're done or ready to keep going, it's up to you guys individually what you need and how you cater for it. And I think that's so super important, because there's a lot of practitioners out there that go, you need to do my 6-week 7-step program and you'll be healed and you can go on and move. And it's not that at all. It might work for some, and that's awesome, but we are all different, unique, amazing human beings that need different modalities, different experiences, and different things to get to where we want to go.
And with that said, if people want more information or would like to work with you directly, how can they find out more about you and contact you?
So on all my social media, so like Facebook, Insta, and TikTok, I'm just at Kylie King Phoenix. And then my website is kylieking.com.au, because I'm in Australia, .com.au. But what I would like to say as a last thing, in a recent past life session, I asked, what are we here to learn? Like, what is our main thing to learn? And I was told, we're here to learn to experience joy. So if you don't have joy in your life, and I get there's a lot of stuff going on in everywhere at the moment internationally, but what I would really say is carve out that time to do whatever works for you to get joy. I don't care if that's dancing in the street. I don't care if that's having a cup of tea and you experience joy. Whatever you need to feel joy, because not only will it help you, but it'll also resonate around, and it'll release, it'll get everyone high vibe. Because even if you just share a smile, people share a smile. If you dance, it might encourage someone else to do it. So please just go out there and find joy.
I find that for me personally, that's where I resonate most when I feel connected to people, is seeing somebody else in their element of feeling pure joy. It's infectious. You look at someone who's just enjoying themselves. It doesn't matter what they're doing, riding a bike, on a treadmill, dancing in the streets. Like, you see someone just with the biggest smile on their face and they're glowing pure joy. They're radiating joy, and you find yourself smiling because it's just that joy is infectious. So I love that. I love that last thought of just find your joy, whatever that looks like. And I would love to add, like, if you don't know what brings you joy, you're never too old to go out and find and try different things to feel and figure out what brings you joy. It's like she said earlier, it's not a one size fits all for everybody. We don't all have the answers right away, right? We don't all know, oh, aha, this is what brings me joy. If you don't know, that's okay. There is no shame in not knowing what brings you joy. Go out and figure it out.
And I think what also is important is it doesn't have to be something gigantic. It doesn't mean you like cure cancer or do whatever. Joy can be found in the small things. Like I said before, a cup of hot tea, as a mama, a hot cup of tea is like the most amazing thing when you can enjoy it. It doesn't have to be big. We need to stop thinking that everything has to be earth shattering or everything is giant. We're all here to experience joy. So find what, even if it's that small amount. You can hear my child shrieking joy in the background right now. She's joyful, whatever
Yay.
she's doing. So it's just all about, it doesn't have to be big. Let's stop overthinking stuff and just go, what makes me smile? Like you said, that big infectious smile, because you don't even realize the impact it has on others, really, and yourself. Because when you feel joyful, there's no other emotion that's going to come and play. You don't generally feel ill when you're joyful. So just go and embrace joy. And if you don't know what joy is, go and watch that movie, because it's
I also think remembering to be graceful with ourselves, giving ourselves patience, because we are not stagnant beings. So what brought us joy yesterday may not bring us joy today. It may bring us joy tomorrow, but it may not. So don't think you're losing something of yourself if it doesn't bring you joy today. Just figure out, like Kylie said, what brings a smile to your face today. Anything else you'd like to add, Kylie?
No, I think if I keep going, I'm going to go down and up. There's so much. Like, once you guys start breaking into this, there's so much you could do full episodes on. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for letting me woo-woo out.
Oh my God, I love the woo-woo. I love it.
And to share bits and pieces. And yeah, I'm always open for a chat. So if there's something that your listeners are like, hey, let's explore this more, I'd love to come back. But other than that, I've enjoyed meeting you both. Thank you so much, John and Ashley, for having me.
Thank you. And I know you said there's like things you could go down to like have full episodes on. If there, because we don't know this world, if there are topics you are like, hey, there's also this, this, and this that we can talk about, please let us know. Like,
Right.
we don't know what we don't know. So like, if there are some topics out there that like, yeah, that's really big subject we could geek out on, please let us know. We would love to have you on again to discuss it.
Awesome. I'll compile a list once I speak to Osiris and see what he wants to talk
Yes.
about.
Yes. Ask
Yes.
Osiris if he'd
Yes.
like to be on the podcast. We'll hypnotize John.
I'm down. There you go. I'm down.
I like how John's like, sure, why not? I mean, you see, he's half in a trance-like state anyway, so let's do it.
Right. I'm good for it. Let's definitely do it.
Maybe John will go future, same wherever. We'll just leave it open to wherever John wants to go. If
Right.
he's open to the hypno process.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Kylie. Like this time has flown by so fast, and I
I know, it's
appreciate you coming
ridiculous.
on. So thank you. This has been really awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Like
Yes,
Kylie
yes.
said, check out her social media profiles, give her likes, follows, subscribes, and check out her website. Reach out if there's work you feel you need done, or even if you're just curious. She seems really awesome and amazing and open to conversations. So do not be shy. All right, Jonathan.
All right. That will bring us home. Ha ha
Time to
ha.
bring us home.
Bring us home. Thank you again, Kylie. Like you said earlier, you're definitely blowing my mind with everything there. So having you back on numerous times would be fantastic if you're open for it. So thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for listening to this episode of 3Haunted Podcast with your host. I'm John Thomas.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And if you have any episode suggestions, questions, comments, or concerns for my well-being, just kidding, please email us at 300podcast@gmail.com. And like always, please, if you haven't done so already, like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media. You don't want to miss one amazing moment.
Until next time.